Let me ask you something. Have you ever stood in line at a coffee shop, looked at the price, and thought, eh, it's just $5? And then later that same day, you checked your bank app, saw your savings account, and thought, ugh, saving even $50 feels painful. Same money, same person, completely different emotional reaction. And look, this isn't because you're bad with money. It's because your brain is wired in a way that literally hates saving small amounts, but gets excited about spending big ones. Which is why people who make good money still feel broke, why raises don't fix financial stress, and why just save more advice quietly fails almost everyone. And once you see why this happens, you'll never look at money the same way again. My name's James, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance and money psychology. If you're someone who earns decent money but still feels behind, anxious, or confused about where it all goes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're breaking down something no one explains: why saving feels painful, why spending feels rewarding, and how to flip that script without becoming miserable, restrictive, or obsessed. And look, this isn't about discipline. This is about designing your money to work with your brain instead of against it. Most financial advice assumes you're a robot. Just save 20%. Just don't buy dumb stuff. Just have self-control. But here's what most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't experience dollars equally. Saving $1 feels worse than spending $1 feels good, but spending $100 feels way better than saving $100 feels responsible. And that imbalance isn't accidental, it's biological. Let's talk psychology for a second, in plain English. There's a concept in behavioral economics called loss aversion. It comes from research by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, Nobel Prize-winning work. Here's the core idea. The pain of losing $1 is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining $1, which means when you save money, your brain doesn't register it as a win. It registers it as a loss of spending power. You're not thinking, future me is safer. Your brain is thinking, I'm giving something up right now. And your brain hates that. Now let's flip the coin. When you spend money, especially on something immediate, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine isn't the happiness chemical, it's the anticipation and reward chemical. It fires when you buy something new, you imagine using it, or you feel progress or relief. That's why buying something often feels better than owning it later. And here's where it gets really interesting. Your brain responds more strongly to large, concrete rewards than to small, abstract ones. So saving $25, abstract, invisible, boring. Spending $250, tangible, immediate, emotional. Same money, different wiring. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, nearly 63% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency without debt. And this isn't just low earners. Even households making over $75,000 a year report serious financial fragility, which tells us something important. Income isn't the main problem. Behavioral design is. Let's do some real math. Say you tell yourself, I'll just save whatever's left at the end of the month. Sounds reasonable, right? But in practice, lifestyle expands, expenses fill the gap, and somehow there's never anything left. Not because you're irresponsible, but because your brain prioritizes present comfort over future safety every single time, automatically. Saving fails not because the amount is too small, but because the signal to your brain is wrong. Saving $1 feels like deprivation. Saving $20 feels like restriction. Saving $200 feels like punishment. Meanwhile, spending $200 feels like relief. So what do most people do? They save inconsistently, then binge spend, then feel guilty, then quit entirely. Sound familiar? The problem isn't that your brain hates saving. The problem is that saving is framed as a loss. So the solution isn't more discipline, it's reframing and restructuring. You don't fix psychology with spreadsheets. You fix it with systems that change how money feels. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine two scenarios. Scenario A, you move $25 into savings. Your brain experiences no visible benefit, no emotional reward, only reduced spending ability. Scenario B, you spend $250 on something you want. Your brain experiences anticipation, dopamine, and immediate justification. Same person, same paycheck, opposite emotional responses. That's not a character flaw. That's neuroeconomics. Here's another brutal truth. Your brain discounts the future heavily. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting, which means $100 today feels more valuable than $150 next year, even if the math says otherwise. So when you save small amounts, your brain thinks this doesn't change anything, even though mathematically it absolutely does. Let's talk numbers. If you invest $300 per month at 8% annual returns for 30 years, you end up with over $450,000. Not because you're brilliant, because time did the work. But your brain doesn't feel that future number. It only feels, I could have spent this. Here's the key shift. Stop asking your brain to enjoy saving. Instead, make saving automatic, invisible, and non-negotiable, because your brain can't fight what it doesn't see. Here's the rule. Money you never see doesn't feel like a loss. That's why payroll taxes don't hurt the same way. That's why automatic investing works. And that's why the most financially stable people don't rely on willpower. They rely on default systems. Before you spend a dollar, before lifestyle creeps in, before temptation shows up, your savings and investments move automatically, even if it's just 5%, especially if it's just 5%, because habits compound faster than income. Now, you might be thinking, James, this sounds great, but I barely make enough as it is. Totally fair. So here's the reframe. If you can't save 15%, start with 3%, then 5%, then 10%. The percentage matters less than the automatic behavior, because once income rises, the habit is already there. Instead of thinking, I'm giving this up, think, I'm buying future calm. Emergency savings isn't an investment, it's emotional insurance. It removes fear, it reduces anxiety, it creates margin. And margin is what your nervous system actually wants. This is powerful. Every time you automate an increase in saving, pair it with a small intentional reward. Your brain learns saving equals safety and satisfaction. That's how habits stick. Budgets rely on daily decisions, constant restraint, and emotional energy. Systems rely on math, automation, and psychology. Willpower fades. Systems don't. Once saving is automatic, spending becomes guilt-free, because you know future you is handled. And when that happens, money stops being stressful and starts becoming neutral. And neutrality is freedom. If you do nothing, spending will always feel better than saving, raises will disappear, and stress will quietly grow. But if you redesign how saving works, your brain stops fighting you and starts working with you. Look, no one is coming to rewire your financial behavior for you, but that doesn't mean you need more discipline or more restriction or more guilt. You need better systems, because your brain doesn't hate saving. It hates feeling deprived. Fix the structure, and the behavior fixes itself. If this video helped you understand money in a way no one ever explained before, hit the like button, subscribe for weekly financial clarity, and share this with someone who keeps saying, I make good money, I just can't save. Now you know why. And more importantly, now you know how to fix it.